Hello, everyone. Welcome to Your Stories Digital Playbook for SMBs, a series where we speak to ecosystem stakeholders such as large corporates, tech giants, industry leaders, key government officials, startups, and SMBs themselves, all to discuss the crucial areas of SMB digitization. This new series explores areas that include digital payments, e commerce, digital bookkeeping, cloud, security, CRM, AI ML, and a whole other bunch of software solutions, products, and emerging technologies. For decades, most Indian SMBs preferred to remain informal. Formalization and compliance was expensive and difficult until now. The new technology for digitizing purchases, payments, inventory management, accounting, etc., has unbridled potential to completely transform the way we do business. Especially in the wake of COVID 19, digitization is no more a luxury. It has become a necessity and a question of survival. With contactless delivery and digital payments becoming the norm, shifting to online payments holds the key to helping SMBs out of this unprecedented crisis. SMBs and Kiranas have little choice but to embrace digital payments and contactless transactions. This brings us to this star studded panel of experts who have dedicated a significant number of years to enabling digital payments in the country, all at different levels. First, introducing Nupur of PayU India, a computer science graduate and alumnus of IIM Lucknow. Nupur is a product management sales and marketing leader. She has over 18 years of experience across the BFSI and mobility devices industries. As country head of small and medium businesses at PayU India, her expertise in payment products, product lifecycle management, consumer finance, card payments, and mobile payments assist her in looking after the strategic growth and expansion of the vertical. Her work helps cater to the evolving payment and lending needs of small and mid-sized enterprises. Hi, Nupur, it's great to have you here.
Hi, Rishabh. That was a very kind introduction. Thank you very much for that.
And joining Nupur on this panel, we have Anand Kumar Bajaj. Anand is the founder, MD, and CEO of Pay Nearby. With over 18 years of experience in digital payments and mobility, Anand holds 5 patents in banking technology. He worked earlier with Yes Bank, ICICI Bank, and Ernst& Young. He was the president and chief innovation officer at Yes Bank, where he steered several high-impact programs in digital payments. Anand has also actively participated in the steering committee of NPCI and as a board member of BCFI. Anand, welcome.
Thank you, Rishabh. Thank you so much. Look forward to the interactions.
And joining both of them, we have Mandar Agashe. Mandar, who is the founder, MD, and vice chairman at Sarvatra Technologies, is a computer engineer from Pune. A third-gen entrepreneur, his family has done pioneering work in the cooperative sector for 75 years. Since 1990, he has gained expertise in technology and healthcare, in which he has been awarded international patents in the US, South Africa, and India. Mandar, a warm welcome to you.
Thank you. It's very nice to be on this panel.
Now that we have all of you here on the show, I'd just like to, begin by asking all of you, what is your organization's place in the value chain for digital payments? Nupur, maybe we can begin with you.
Sure, why not? It will sound like a bit of a marketing spiel, and my apologies in advance for that. But PayU Group, really in India, is the largest digital payment service provider. We process transactions for the entire spectrum from India's top few e-commerce sites to government projects to even small women entrepreneurs working out of home. And this complete spectrum is enabled because we have the products to be able to cater to their individual needs. So from customized PGs and solutions at one end, international payments for the international merchants with us, from QR to POS, we have the entire product suite available with us. And all of this at the best in the class success rates and more than 100 payment modes that we make available to all our merchants. So that is where we are. We have been in the country operating since 2016, and we've grown in leaps and bounds over the years.
Thanks, Nupur. Anand, can we come to you?
Yeah, thank you, Nupur, for telling it's a marketing opportunity almost. But yes, at Pay Nearby, we believe in bringing the high end of technology to the bottom of the pyramid. We are spread in 17,000 pin codes through 5 lakh digital Pradhan partners. They are essentially banking correspondents, and they develop as digital payment facilitators as well. On the other side, we serve about 12 crore citizens, and we bring sachetized banking services to the common man. So during DBT disbursement in COVID era, it was well highlighted and appreciated that the infrastructure that we have been able to build for India has become a national asset. And we say Har Dukan Digital Pradhan, essentially to take all the technologies to the common man. And I'm pleased to have both Mandar and Nupur here helping us power this whole engine. On one hand, we have the UPI and the BBPS modules connected by PayU. On the other hand, we have robust micro ATM modules from Mandar we use with one bank. And we ourselves have built our own switches and ASP certified for IMPS, AEPS engines, so that the transactions that we take to the common man, the man who does not tweet, women included, genuinely, because we serve a large segment of the DBT which goes to ladies. And in the hinterlands, these people don't tweet; they talk to God directly, yeah, and they curse you like crazy. So we have to ensure we work very closely with partner banks, with NPCI, with both the partners here on the panel. And the ecosystem is our support, our caretaker, if I may say, that we don't stand alone. It's an inclusive banking, and hence everyone supports to reach out. The examples being here itself, you see. That's Pay Nearby. Thank you.
Sure. Mandar, a quick word from you.
Yeah, so Sarvatra Technologies is probably the a 20-year-old startup, as we call it. So we just entered our 20th year, finished our 20th year, but we still consider ourselves as a startup, and probably the only fintech company in India which started in rural and came to urban. So we started with going with all the smallest of the rural cooperative banks. So we started there by giving them digital platform, which they didn't have even a basic product like a debit card. So they have never heard of a debit card. So when I surveyed the total Indian space, out of the 2,000 banks who had RBI license, only 50 odd banks had a debit card. So we started with the basic digitization product and came to urban, where ICICI Bank is one of our largest customer besides most of the small finance banks. And through ICICI Bank, we give the top class digital services to even clients like Google Pay and WhatsApp Pay and everybody. So we give the same technology platform to a customer who is in, say, a small village in Solapur district, to a very urban customer sitting in Nepean Road in Mumbai. So that was our goal, and I think we have achieved it with reaching out to 600 cooperative banks and close to 800 urban credit societies over last 20 years.
Thanks, Mandar. In fact, your journey of 20 years, it's been such a long journey, but maybe you would have never thought that, the industry would face a situation like COVID and, whatever impact it has had on the industry. So I want to ask you, Mandar, and then we'll come to the others. How have you observed, the impact of COVID-19 on not just banks, but also on, SMBs, merchants, kirana owners?
Yeah. So what has happened is that during the COVID, there is of course a big transition towards the digital payments. But of course, there was a complete fall in transactions for 2 months, and suddenly it has grown drastically. And we saw spurts in transactions across various categories. Example, suddenly for 2 months, the AEPS was huge. So from nowhere, like 1-2 lakh transactions, we hit something like 10 crore transactions in last 2 months.
Wow.
So it's been crazy journey. So UPI has been a super success, but we never thought AEPS will suddenly grow, and it is still staying steady. So it's amazing. It's that the journey across 27 states and 3 union territories, different areas, different products have taken shape, and I think some form or the other of digital transaction has got used. right? From AEPS in rural to UPI in urban.
Right. And Anand, it's been over 2 decades for you as well. What are your thoughts on the impact of the pandemic?
See, basics help you remain intact for long term. If you have built the basics right, high or low of economy does not mar you, does not bother you. And this global epidemic has demonstrated that the retailers, SMBs, manufacturers who were to deal with the basics have sustained, and the non-essentials have had the maximum challenge. So much so that someone said that just because people are not consuming non-essential, the economy is going for a toss. But the basics, when we say we have built the basics and we stand the time of the test of this time, we believe that we have been able to help people start the basics with cash in hand. So government did a great job of putting money in the bank. But what 5 lakh digital pradhans were doing was giving that 500 rupee in the hand of the consumers, the citizens actually. We don't call them consumers. So ever you hear from me, consumer, it's a slip of tongue, but citizen is a higher pedestal that we have been able to come to terms with. And during this time, most of the people have not gone for doing apparel shopping or cinemas or restaurants. Those sectors have been impacted badly. But you went for 2 kilo aloo, 1 kilo pyaj, और 500 रुपया का कैश दे देना भैया. So at a kirana dukan, you have been able to granularize, sachetize banking and universalize it at every shop. That's why we say Har Dukan Digital Pradhan, that something or the other of digital, 100 modules of either Nupur or a few modules of Mandar are visible, and the signatures are taken to the field by us. So we were quite encouraged. And as Mandar said, that the transaction numbers that we had designed for getting 1 million transaction a day to 2 million transaction, but on days where DBTs were disbursed, 3 million, 4 million was the norm, and the servers were creaking. Thankfully, all ecosystem players, well-wishers like Nandan came up, Rajan Anandan came up to help us with the relevant support. With NPCI, either Dilip was very supportive, their steering committee was very supportive. And everyone collaborated. So it was important that everyone comes together, and crisis is a great equalizer, and crisis is a great connector. You saw many things, and we will talk about it in the hour ahead. A lot of things have changed and evolved very differently. Especially, I should bring this part of work from home that has been a path breaker. People used to crib that 1 ghante ka traffic had to come to office. Now people long for that 1 hour traffic. They're sitting at home and work is on and on. So productivity has gone up meaningfully. A lot of things have changed during crisis.
Yeah. Anand, quickly coming to you, Nupur, you have spent so many years working with SMBs, not just in India, but internationally as well. So, how have you observed the impact of the pandemic on Indian SMBs?
Look, the government recently released the GDP contraction data, right? And given the fact that SMBs contribute to 30% of that GDP, I would like to assume that whatever we see as the GDP contraction is actually more visible for SMBs. Although, Anand already covered it, that it depended on two things. One, what kind of cash did you have for the runway, and that made or broke the business. The second thing was, which sector were you really in? So we've seen that healthcare or essentials being able to survive despite the lockdown, but others which were in discretionary spends really have been hit very, very hard. So that is the reality. But then that reality has also caused a digital transformation, which was unprecedented, unexpected, and really sets everyone up for future. So that is the good that has come out of last few months.
Right, and Nupur, going slightly more into detail about what you said, how exactly have you seen consumer behavior change over the past few months, and how has this, really pushed forward or accelerated, the rate of adoption of digital payments?
Sure. So I was recently reading a McKinsey report, Rishabh, which says that 60% of consumers globally have changed their shopping behavior. And the brand loyalty that existed in the past does not exist anymore, because what consumers want is the products where they see value, which is available and convenient, right? So to that extent, a huge shift in consumer buying behavior, and not just that, in the mode of transactions. Let me talk about my parents. Till last year, they were possibly using the smartphone just for purchasing tickets, at times for movie, at times for airlines. And suddenly, over the last few months, they are doing grocery shopping online, they're purchasing medicine online, and of course, they have Netflix subscription also now. So, the consumers across the board are adopting digital much faster. They're more comfortable doing transactions online, uh, for good or for bad. And therefore, even when the stores open up, I would expect that the next normal has a lot of this digital behavior sustaining, and people continuing to do that. So another research states that there are almost 10% of the consumers who are solely doing digital payments and digital shopping today, and unlikely that they would stop doing it once the stores get open. That's my take.
Sure, Nupur. Thanks a lot for that. In fact, you mentioned that over 60% of consumers will see their behavior change. Anand, just coming to you, a lot of your work has to do with understanding the behavior of smaller retailers and kiranas also. So, what is your take on this whole change in customer behavior?
So on few counts, the consumer behavior changed, and glad Nupur brought it up. The brand loyalties have perished. You call a retailer and tell him Ashirwad ka atta ITC ka chahiye. He said, "Sab, forget it. Dal, chawal, atta, chini boliye. Don't talk brand." And that is what they have stocked up. From the digital payment perspective, it was very simple. If I say cash was not available in many places, cash was just not there. And if you see the number of ATM transactions reported recently by Reserve Bank, of the 58 crore transaction a month, coming down to 27, 28 crore a month, it's like half slashing out. But I think the ticket sizes have increased, so which has said that people don't want multiple exposures. Bar, they don't want to go to the ATMs, and they don't know who has used it just before me. And on the same front, if you see the retailers where we work, they were able to help you sanitize hand, put your thumb and get cash, sanitize again and go home, because that is where the life was starting. The other part that I see, and Nupur likely said that 60% who have once paid digitally, they aren't going back. Come what may, the life is cool and easy. Bank mein paisa hai, and I am able to scan around. I am able to check out, do web checkouts. But a few things that you will agree and observe is that all the digital payments, which were largely on the food tech, deliveries, e-commerce, etc., those things took a beating. They dipped down, and which put pressure on the local kirana stores, because cash was not available and consumer citizens were asking that take digital. So that built up a good momentum on the kirana store. So a normal kirana store, while he was GST shy earlier, I think crisis equalized everything, and a quick QR came up. Even in our app, we were able to host in a QR code. Even in our app, we brought a buy nearby feature where a consumer can buy from a next door kirana and one can package and deliver with lat long integrated. So a lot of those new behavior changes have come up, and they're here to stay. Especially with regard to the non-essential shopping I mentioned earlier, which will not. I asked my family, my kid, my wife. I asked, when are you going to go to a cinema next? Not next 1 year, not next 2 years. When are you going to fly? Not required. We can talk to everyone. So all these behavioral changes will get deep rooted into crisis-stricken citizens right now. Restaurant, forget it. Home delivery aa rahi hai, and you are able to cook and have it. So might as well the rental property, all of it will get impacted. Our colleagues have not wanted to go to office. They are saying, I'm fully productive at home. So if you want to do salary cut, but don't call us to office. So behaviors will change at various levels, and more skewing with bias towards digitization, automation, contactless, even deliveries that are must will happen contactless.
Yeah. Mandar, I wanted to get your perspective on this because, with so much consumer behavior changing, what are banks thinking? What is their approach?
Yeah. So basically, the cooperative banks all these years were branch banking focused, where customers insisted on coming to the branch, doing everything there. Most of their depositors were senior citizens who loved to come to the cooperative bank branch to just have a cup of tea and go. That has completely changed. So suddenly, the cooperative bank has become like an HDFC Bank or an ICICI Bank, where there is nobody in the branches. Yet the bank is on, the customers are saving heavily into the banks. There are a lot of because of monsoon is good, rural loan is lending is very good right now. But no one wants to come to a branch. So suddenly the branches have to go digital in a big way, and we were there to give them that product, and we have been pushing that product for a long time. But now there's a huge demand. So first came the demand after demonetization of debit cards by the consumer. Now it's the demand of the banks for digital platform, and not only banks, credit societies also. So we have been what you can say, giving those products to these banks, but they never bothered to activate them. But now the activation is happening in a very big way, because the consumer behavior has totally changed. Nobody wants to go to a branch. The exposure they don't want to do. So my only thing is that what will happen after 2 years, we don't know, because after the Spanish flu in 1920s, came the Roaring Twenties, where everyone went out as soon as the flu went away, and there were parties and parties everywhere. So that's what the Roaring Twenties is all about, which eventually led to the Great Depression, because there was a overkill of the people coming out and rejoicing and partying, or going to restaurants. So whether this will stay for 2-3 years or no, I don't know. But definitely the behavior has changed completely of the consumers. They don't want to go to the branch, even they don't want to go to the ATM. So they are exploring, and they are trying to see, even the old people are trying to go online, and their friends and families helping them go online. So I think that will come. Security has to be enhanced. So many things have to now fall into place, and the government is being very positive in terms of that.
So, Mandar, just getting you to elaborate a little bit more on that. Hygiene is one thing, right, when it comes to contactless payments. But even before COVID-19, there was some momentum in terms of contactless payments and digital payments, transactions, simplifying transactions, and all that. And now, like giving the example of the Spanish flu, you said that people could work in a very counterintuitive way. So, is contactless really the way forward or not? Like,
Yes, I think contactless will be the way forward, whether it's a contactless debit card or a UPI based payment or completely digital online e-commerce based payments. I think contactless would be a very big thing going forward, because the information out there is a lot, and contactless is possible, with all RFID and everything. Even the purchases eventually will go contactless, where you just go and pick up products, and you yourself check out. So as much less contact as possible will happen. Even in bank branches, it is happening like that. So people don't just want to go to self-help kiosk and try to do things.
sure. Anand, wanted your thoughts on this. Is this something that could be very counterintuitive, or is it all going to just play out the way we expect it to?
No, I think it is the way forward, and it is only expediting the vision of Reserve Bank or any well-wishing citizen that digital is safe, digital is fast, digital is secure, and of course, a good UI UX requirement would help simplify digital for people who are young or old. Like Mandar said, that even old citizens are coming, so the age will no more be a bar going forward. Either you are digital or you are not digital will be the bifurcation. One new segmentation will emerge in the marketing parlance. That said, the youth is coming up, a great huge population which will come directly and leapfrog payments. They will not know what cash looked like possibly. They would come onto UPI directly. Or maybe or more evolving modules that would be there. Digital leaves a trail behind. So what better from a commerce engagement perspective that I gave you cash or not, is no more a confusion. So I think a lot of good things have been highlighted about digital. But one would agree that the frauds that are coming up in this space, and someone said that no amount of technology advancement can surpass human stupidity or greed. Yeah, and hence a lot of work will need to be done on digital payments. It should not be like बंदर के हाथ में नारियल कि digital है पर पता नहीं क्या हो रहा है. Anyone is able to take away your money, and you would hear these frauds dime a dozen. The new norm in the billion transactions of UPI, many worrisome cases have come up. But that should not inhibit us from growing into digital. The new phones that are being bought are all smartphones. One would take a leap of faith and embed digital payment modules as default in these modules.
Yeah, Nupur, coming to you, I just wanted to know, do you feel contactless payments are really the way forward? Because, both Anand and Mandar highlighted some concerns. So, what do you think, is it the way forward, and what challenges do you foresee in the next few years in actually helping these SMBs at every level adopt digital payments?
Couple of things there, Rishabh. I think Anand already mentioned that digital is not a luxury anymore. It is an imperative for the businesses to survive, and both in terms of a digital identity itself and digital payments for sure. Now, when the stores are opening, the consumers will resume their shopping only when they are completely feeling safe inside that store, right? Which on one side is the shopping behavior, and on the other is the buying behavior. Now, talking about the latter, I do not want to touch the POS machine, which has been touched by I don't know who before me. I do not want to exchange cash with you. And therefore, contactless is actually a way of giving them a sense of security and therefore winning the consumers back. This is on the brick and mortar side. Similarly, on the non-brick and mortar omni-channel side, or even the e-commerce side, we feel that contactless. Now, contactless does not necessarily mean payment at the time of shopping without the product in hand. Even the logistic companies we see adopting a lot of digital payment at the time of delivery. So across channel types, across the types of retailers, yes, contactless and digital payments will be the way forward, and we are very, very sure of that, and we are already prepared for that.
Sure, and Nupur, some challenges, along the way, some roadblocks that that you anticipate, and how are you trying to steer clear of them?
Sure. So one challenge that Anand already mentioned about is the fraud challenge. But to me, the consumer fraud and the fraud related to the merchants happens because of a very basic reason, that we haven't invested in the education enough, right? Now, specifically talking about small and medium businesses, if I were to look at the medium enterprises, they are digitally enabled, they're digitally savvy. But the smaller and micro businesses are digitally literate. They do have a smartphone, they are on WhatsApp and Facebook, but they're not digitally enabled. And to them, educating them through the journey becomes very, very important. Now, I'll give you an example of a Kirana store in my apartment complex. So I met up with him once, and he complained that, Didi, I'm sitting right here, but you all are using online, channels for getting your grocery. Why are you doing that? And that's where I, try to explain to him that, look, I'm not feeling comfortable exchanging notes with you. I'm not feeling comfortable coming to your shop where 20 other people, are around. And therefore, if you can send the stuff home and send me a link for making payments, I would definitely buy from you and not from anywhere else. They understand the opportunity. These small guys know that they need to go digital, but they do not know how to do it. They do not know what is the first step or who to trust to take them onto that journey. So educating them, helping them out is what we as an ecosystem need to do. And once we do that, I think the adoption will be much, much faster and safer.
Thanks, Nupur. I do think that education is definitely an important point. Just increasing everyone's digital literacy and financial literacy is going to play a big part, especially for SMBs. Anand, just coming to you, what are some challenges that you see along the way? How are you trying to stay ahead of them and trying to prepare yourself?
So see, the challenges are multifold. When I say niti hai ayojan nahi, which means there is a policy but not implementable. And hear me out on this, that there are tax exemptions available to business correspondents, but they are not in reality implementable, both on TDS or on GST. So a regulatory apathy needs to be broken, and a reality check at the time of policy formation would help, and which is where I think BCFI and the Payment Council of India both are doing a great effort with all the ecosystem players. On challenge front, Nupur brought it out very interestingly. A retailer saying that Didi maine kya galat kiya, or why are people not coming to me? We for last 3 years have been engineering a module called Buy Nearby. It is exactly most suited for COVID era. And Nupur, I'll climb up to you later to see if we can fit it into PayU to reach out to the million of customers that you have built already. This module we have partnered with Nielsen, and we are working with Mighty for the Suraksha Store format, which helps a customer buy from a next door shop digitally, touch free, and inventory maintenance, pricing, everything is all implemented. For last 3 years, we've been quietly engineering this, because the hard hitting reality was retail is evolving, retailers are not. The DMarts of the world had come, the Big Basket, Big Bazaar have taken away the commerce from the retailer, Kirana. And if the shops just remain shutter and all the deliveries are from the dark store, it was little antithesis, and it was hard hitting for us that retail is evolving, retailers are not. And when we started our journey, we said we will do this module first and go and work for helping stabilize retailer in his business so that he can do my business. It was a big challenge then and even today, but till John Stelle of Equity Bank Kenya caught me and he said, Anand, wear your own oxygen mask first before helping kids. You got 5 kids, Anand. Why don't you go and do your thing first and then you come up and help the others? And which is what we did. I think in the current times, the challenges of the retailing going for a toss, I am crowd agnostic though, but people don't feel comforted when there are 4 people. I have a small chink here in my eyeglass and I am not wanting to go to my optician anymore. I'm scared. So those phobias will come, those challenges will have to be overcome. And I think with as much amount of sanitization one does or hygiene one assures you, one would want to go to the basics, remain with the minimalistic approach. जो नहीं चाहिए बाहर. I don't want a cake, I don't want a pastry, I don't want a McDonald's and a delivery. I'm okay at home. My wife does good food and we are all happy to discover that. But yeah, apparels, I don't want to buy anymore. Those things will be challenged from the other side for those industries. If you look at it, so much of jobs lost. The one key challenge we faced, and I must admit here, is that many of the citizens we serve are migrant so-called workers in urban center. And we used to do a lot of remittances for them in the urban center as origination side. But we saw 40-50% dip in the domestic remittance business. And least we could do was we quickly announced the jobs nearby module on 1st of May, the Labor Day. And within 40 days of engineering, by 11th June, we were able to go and present it and launch it in Uttar Pradesh to help people get job nearby with the industry they are in or the caliber they have. So challenges will come, lot more will emerge with the loan moratoriums getting over or not getting over actually, 2 more years extended or not extended, jobs not being there. We can go on for the challenges list. It's much beyond the data that is visible on the government's portal and research reports. It's much deep, much deep.
Thanks, Anand. Mandar, coming to you, a lot of small businesses say that, it's not very easy getting credit from banks, especially at such a time. And on the other hand, banks are saying that, they try to do their best. So what are the challenges you have seen in trying to work with banks and trying to integrate them within the value chain of digital payments? What are some of the roadblocks? How are you addressing them?
Most of the challenges that these banks are facing now is whether they will get the money back when they lend. You know, so on one side they have to do. They have realized the value of digital because the cost is very good. Cost goes down, so the faster they can lend, the better at lowest possible cost. But when it comes to recovery, then how would they recover the money which they have lent digitally? That's something, the whole e-natch or all these digital ways of protecting their money which is lent will play a very important role going forward. So that's I think the key with this whole recurring mandate coming from UPI, and all these products are just coming right on time, where small value loans given and small value collection or a recurring collection, automatic collection can be done. You know, so both by different vendors as well as the banks, as well as the third party apps or fintech companies who are getting into lending. I think the challenge is not giving the loan, challenging is collecting. And that is something depends on how well they'll be able to do. The continuous changing rules may affect them in a big way. So that's something that needs to be seen how it evolves. Those will be the main challenges for most of the banks of recovery of loans.
Okay.
And to
Mandar, just staying with you for some time. A specific question for you. When we talk about digital payments, like usually we hear about Paytm, Google Pay, Phone Pay, Bharat Pay, and things like that. But
pay you.
there, yeah, of course,
Yeah.
Pay you too. But there is not enough conversation about banks, and we don't usually hear about how they are being digitized. So can you just, for all our viewers, explain in a very simple way, how do banks play a key role in digital payments, and why is it so important to help them?
So basically, banks are a platform. For example, when you use a actual Google Pay, but there is some bank behind it. So like whether it's a ICICI Bank or a HDFC Bank, or today many such banks who act like a sponsor bank. So for example, among small finance banks, Equitas Bank and Capital Bank are playing a big role in digitizing the front end apps. So UPI is a unique system in the world where you don't have to be a bank to launch an app. So you can be an app, you can enable payment, various payment products for the customer. Yet you are not a bank, you're using a handle of you are just a PSP app for a bank. But actual thing happens with the bank. So unless the banks are digitized, nothing can happen. So example, many of our cooperative banks, unless they are issuer and they are on the UPI platform, their customers cannot get onboarded on the Google app, Google Pay. So the banks are playing the most critical role by coming onto UPI platform or IMPS platform or Bharat Bill Pay platform. So unless they are as a issuer coming on the platform, they can't. Their customers can't use any of the apps. So banks are playing a very critical role right now, but they are not seen. They are behind, and they are happy with the younger or the apps which are more consumer centric, or then understand how to onboard a consumer, give chargebacks. Make them do the part of the consumer part, and yet they are doing the part of the banking. So it's like the old time check clearing system, something like that. Now it's a digital clearing system.
Right. Mandar, that's a great point. In fact, coming to the consumer-facing side, Anand, this question is for you. Lately there is so much billion-dollar talk about digitizing Indian SMBs, spending crores and crores to build digital solutions and services for them. But you are someone who keeps your ears very close to the ground level and working at the grassroots level. So what exactly, or what kind of work do you do in this front to help Kiranas embrace digitization? So I'd also like you to just quickly explain what you mean by sachetizing financial services and branchless banking.
Yeah, good. And to pick up thread from Mandar, what he said about collections being very difficult in lending, we do about 120 crore of EMI collection every month for 47 microfinance and NBFCs, and it is a big pain point. That takes me to your question of what is sachetizing. So we say that when we say that high end of technology for the bottom of the pyramid, and we have a formula, we say sachetize, granularize, universalize, make it small sachet, and you would see that, remember Amir Khan ad, Thanda Matlab Coca-Cola, and 5 rupees ka small sachet. And in FMCG, that is how the sachets have helped proliferate high-end product to a common man at an affordable price. That is what is meant by sachetization, that I want to give a product which is a full product and at a very low cost with a absolute full perceived value. That brings to a question when one says that India is banked, and I say it is either unbanked, where accounts have not been opened, it is underbanked, where there is a lot of crowd in one branch, and it is misbanked. When I say Niti hai Ayojan nahi, I say bank hai par banking nahi. And Mandar will corroborate that the DBT disbursed by government, Subramaniam Swamy, economic advisor, he went out telling that 1,28,000 crore of DBT remains unwithdrawn. 1 trillion INR remains unwithdrawn, lying in the banks because people don't know that they have a bank account. If they know, they are not traveling 20 kilometers to withdraw 500 rupees. If they do travel, the branch does not want to feel like, and it's not their mandate to give a printout of account statements to the customer for a myriad transaction detail. And if someone tells, I want to make a 200 rupee FD, you go and break your head. Please don't come to the branch. If 1,000 guys show up a branch saying, I want 200 rupee FD. And this is exactly what we mean by granularize, sachetize, and universalize. These 5 lakh kirana store in the country are able to allow a customer to come all the time. When his eyes are open, my shop is open, my shutter is open, right? You come, you go, you buy product, grocery, and you say, bhaiya 25 rupees ka FD bana dena. You are welcome. I'm just nearby you, not 20 kilometers away. I am a grocer, I am a pharmacist, just next door to you. That is what we mean by granularize, sachetize, and universalize banking services. And with regard to the current age changeovers that are happening in digital payment, I believe that lending will not happen. It will be Lazy Pay is a great example. All the modules around Lazy Pay, that the payments are happening. I hope collection will no more be a problem likewise, and it will automatically happen. One will not have to do insurance. It will automatically happen. On the 3rd year, now thankfully government has mandated 3 years of insurance. At the end of 3rd year, automated ENACH mandate, debit your account and insurance is paid. No one can say I'm not insured. That is where India will grow up to. And there are huge collaboration opportunities between the 4 key pillars of financial services, insurance or lending, payments or investments, with ENACH and similar micro mandates that NPCI has built. There is fabulous way forward. Forget a lot of things because of these automation. Yaar, aisa bhi kuch hota tha. Yeah.
Right. Nupur, I have a kind of a specific question for you. Earlier on this panel, you mentioned that education is a key challenge, right? In fact, we've also seen many SMB owners, especially small stores and enterprises, they may not have the highest form of formal education. Some small orthodox businesses are run by those who have just about maybe passed their 12th standard. So for them, why is there a need to keep things simple? Why is there a need to simplify transactions for these SMBs? And how can tech products and solutions achieve this?
So Rishabh, a couple of things. We actually believe in the philosophy of keeping our products both safe and simple. For the real reason that the adoption needs to increase only when the technology is seamless and simple. Today, we see so many users and the kids using anything from smartphones and iPads to Alexa in their daily lives because it is intuitive, because it is simple, and that has to be the core for it to be adopted. Now, I mentioned it earlier and I'll reiterate that for retailers, there's a need to distinguish between the shopping experience from the buying experience because they are very different problems to be solved. What our submission is that retailers should do what they're good at, which is enhancing the shopping experience, and leave the buying experience to us, because we've perfected it over the last 4-5 years. Um, we don't want a scenario where amazing shopping experience, you were shown all the products which are relevant to you, which look alike, which should be part of the bundle, and yet your buying experience is memorable just because it was so difficult to do, or transaction failed for some reason or the other. And which is where we feel that simplifying needs to happen at multiple steps. One is around onboarding and educating the SMBs or all kinds of businesses. The second is around the buying experience itself for the consumer. And the third, how do you package it together in terms of a consultative selling? So for us, PayU is not about ये QR है ले लो, उसके बाद consumer आएगा तो कुछ कर लेगा. Because hello, I mean, consumers are not coming to your store anymore. What good is that QR? For us, it is more about saying that, look, if this is what you're selling, this is how you need to create your digital presence. These are the products which should be available to you. So if you're an educational institute, do you have subscription, and can I help you with that? If you are a content platform, can I give you subscriptions? If you are, however, a consumer durable company, I should be enabling EMIs for you, so on and so forth, right? So the entire selling process needs to be full of empathy and full of consultation and education to the end business. That is what we believe in, and we are trying to simplify that entire process, not just one particular product.
Right. Nupur, just staying with you for now, we are just coming to the last section of this panel, where I ask all of you, what are some golden rules when it comes to digital payments? So Nupur, let's say that, I am an SMB which has been running for the past 10 years. And now there is so much talk about, digital adoption, and there are so many options, there are so many players. I don't really know, where to look, what is going to cost. So I'm apprehensive. So, what would you say are one or two golden rules that SMBs should follow when trying to adopt digital payments?
The first is go with the suggestion of someone you trust. Go with the name, the brand name that you've worked on before, or someone in your close circle has worked on before, and therefore you can place a lot of trust in. Because there are a number of fly-by-night of operators who would give you a solution and you would not know what happened to your money next, right? So that is the first suggestion that I would make. The second would be, don't invest too much in a problem which is not your core business problem, right? I understand that these businesses are putting in a lot of resources and time and money behind पॉस से पैसा आया कि नहीं, बैंक में कितना पैसा है, ये चेक कब क्लियर होगा, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर को कब देना है, so on so forth. So a number of payment solutions also mean a lot of time and effort going into what is non-core, and which is where I'm again saying that the golden rule should be, how do I simplify? How do I go with one partner who can give me a lot of solutions, rather than trying to find one solution for every second need and every second day. So these two things from my side: find someone you can trust and therefore you're confident on, and try to consolidate most of your transaction behavior and what you're doing around money, rather than diversify it too much, because you will end up wasting a lot of time. These would be my recommendations.
Anand, same question to you. If there is an SMB that is looking to digitize their transactions and payments, what would you say are some of the golden rules that you would tell them?
But I agree with Nupur, what she said. Work with trusted partners, and also look at what is simple for your customer. As a golden rule, I always believe, coming from a banking and background and a business family, that cite your money. that money should be visible. So whatever method, if it is just easy for me to see it, hear it, or just get the feel of it in hand, that is money. So go with trusted partners, and trusted could be even the next door kirana store coming and selling you a payment solution, and which is what we are going to leverage our 5 lakh retailers in the next round to go and onboard more and more people next door and become our merchant partners with payment partnerships. And second, of course, is easy for you, easy for the customer, because there are customer side of originations which people come and demand. There is a pull creation, and there is a push that someone would have gone and met a merchant and pushed something down him. But the two has to match and marry, and customer should feel comfortable as well.
Okay, okay. Mandar, wanted to get your thoughts on this. You obviously come from a business family that has, been doing great work for so many years. So, what would you say are some of the golden rules that have, emerged recently that you would like to share with some SMBs or maybe even banks? So, yeah.
So basically, as Nupur said, trust is the most important when it comes to digital enabling of your business. And as she also said that you don't try to get into things that you are not expert in. Some things are well handed over to the expert, but then who is your expert? So what we have found, our experience has been that generally the customers, like the small merchants as well as the small factories, whenever they are looking for a digital solution, first they ask their bank. So they ask their bank that what kind of digital solution can you provide to us? And that's where that's how we went to our customers who are banks and said that unless you give this services to your customer, they would be otherwise searching for different solutions. And their basic trust is with the bank, because not only the bank is where they keep their deposits, but also they take their loan from, and they help the banker to help them with different things. So many customers today are even confused with the difference between IMPS and UPI, such basic things. So they don't know. So that's why I think the golden thing is, of course, trust is important, and go with your banker to see what solution he can give you. And if the banker is not giving a solution, go to a nearby merchant who will always be there or who has been there for a long time. If something goes wrong, you can still go to him and he'll be there. So that's
Mm.
very important. I think these two will play a very important role in India, the banker and the merchant. I think they will lead the last mile trust factor.
Sure. In fact, all three of you seem to be really stressing on the trust factor, which, is something which takes a long time to build up, but very easily it can be destroyed. So, if I'm a new startup, let's say, I've just started a company, I want to build some digital solutions for SMBs, but trust is something that takes years, maybe even decades to build. So, Mandar, for you, I want to ask you, what are the golden rules that I have to follow if I am a new startup and I want to build these solutions?
So I would tell from my own example. So when Sarvatra was a startup and coming out with this debit cards, we focus on forging partnerships with the established player. For example, HDFC Bank and ICICI Bank became our resale partners, where they went. We were a small startup, but all these large banks do offer a platform for startups for unique solutions. So a startup should always go with such a player who brings the trust factor. You bring the innovation. Somebody like HDFC Bank or a Yes Bank or a ICICI Bank used to bring the trust factor. Same thing NPCI does. Or today RBI has got the sandbox testing. So you say, oh, this product is tested in RBI sandbox, some certification from RBI. You have to go with some of these uh, who always will be there kind of institutions and brand names. Like some startups did go with Hindustan Levers or Procter and Gamble, something like that. So there is enough large players who are going to partner with innovators and startups. So a startup should look at partnering with such large players who cannot innovate themselves. So there's always a space for a startup to come in with their innovation and have a 1:1 relationship with a large organization.
So, Mandar, just sticking with you, I have a follow-up question. How easy is it to actually, reach out to these larger trusted players? How easy is it to actually build that relationship with them? Because they must be getting hundreds of these requests per day, right?
Yeah, but it's quite easy because these large institutions nowadays go to the colleges. So I'm happy to tell you that Sarvatra has recently started a fintech lab along with PI City, which is the number one college of engineering college in Pune, and Symbiosis College of Commerce and Arts. These are two top class institutions. So we have created a fintech virtual lab where small, like small startups created by students can come and do this type. So there are, like us, there are many platforms available today for startups and also the investors. There is a whole angel network. The angel brings you a lot of connections. Who is investing in you? They will bring the connection. I'm sure I've heard about such great initiatives by companies of our two esteemed panelists also, that they give a huge what you can say connection to the startups, to the larger ecosystem. And same I've heard about networks doing, like MasterCard and Visa also do a lot of such things. Even NPCI does a lot of these things. So something like
Oh,
that.
yeah, yeah. Anand, coming to you, you obviously have so many years of experience in this space. But if there is someone who has almost no experience in this space, they still want to, build such a solution. What do they do? What are some rules to follow?
So Nupur mentioned about them starting in year 2013-14 about, and Shalaz Nag came to me when I was at Yes Bank. We hosted them, right? They were new, they were from nowhere, no background check, but the way one presents talks. And after a year, Shalaz came and told me, Anand, this is what I wanted to build. See what I have done. 1 year it took him. So I think just only having an idea and a connect does not help. मौका माहौल सपोर्ट और तोड़ू आइडिया जैसे अमरीश राव बोलते हैं, ये सारी चीजें होनी चाहिए. और आइडियाज के बियॉन्ड काफी चीजें, सारी कायनात शिद्दत से आपकी साजिश लगा के, क्या बोलता है वो शाहरुख खान फिल्म में, कि अगर किसी चीज को आप शिद्दत से चाहते हैं तो सारी कायनात साजिश करती है आपको सक्सेसफुल बनाने की. That's a fact. And you would hear many startups languishing. 90 you don't even hear about. Of the 10, at least 5 fail and go spoil. But the Startup India system ecosystem was great, where they got an opportunity to come and present. And I'm sure each of the incubators that we work with, we get two partners to come on our platform, or with relevance, of course. Then times are different, but no different actually. How Facebook started from a college and they were able to build through. Likewise, each payment module will come from how utilitarian your idea is and how difficult it is to copy, because you have people sitting in places sitting and copying your idea as well. So if you are able to build a good module and take it, which is having virality within, so the digital is a great neutralizer. Again, I would say, आप जानते हैं किसी को नहीं जानते हैं, अगर आइडिया अच्छा है तो ले आइए, चलिए, आपको digital will take you viral.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thousand and luck is not good. It is just not good.
Nupur, I want to come to you. Just picking up from Anand's last thought about if luck isn't good, then it just isn't good. What are your, what are your suggestions? What are your golden rules for a new company which is just starting up? How can they reach out to someone like PayU, or what are some things that they can do in the early stages of their career to really, help build that trust?
Yeah, sure. I think you're talking about the PayU that invests. Yeah, that is also something that we do. But I think Anand and Mandar already covered two important aspects. One is, ability to partner, but getting through that partner and ensuring that that partners are willing to put trust in you as imperative. The second thing that they also mentioned is about who invests you, who is signing up for your idea. That name also becomes an important factor in moving things forward. But apart or adding to these two aspects, which are definitely very, very important, is your moment of truth or the product itself, right? When the first time a customer uses it, uh, if everything goes well, brilliant, you were lucky, like Anand said. If, however, things do not work the way you want it to work, and yet you are able to provide, excellent customer service, and you're able to, sort the problem quickly and with a lot of empathy, then you've won your first customer. Once you've made your 0 to 1 journey, then 1 to 10 and 10 to 100 are other problems to be solved, which can happen eventually. But making or delighting the first set of customers becomes a very, very important thing for building trust with a larger audience tomorrow. So that is the only thing I would like to add to what Anand and Mandar already covered.
Thanks, Nupur. So, would you say that this is a good time or a perfect time to, start building some of these digital products and solutions?
Absolutely. The times couldn't have been better. I think just the right opportunity for many more entrepreneurs to be born in the country, solving a number of different problems, because like someone said, digital transformation has seen 10 years or a decade worth of transformation happening in the last 3 months, and it can go faster because we have the IT brain power, we have the prowess, we have the investment coming in and day out. The timing couldn't have been better.
Great. Thank you so much, Nupur. That brings us to the end of an extremely insightful panel. A big thanks to all of the panelists for joining us. We hope everyone watching found the discussion insightful and had some useful takeaways. This panel was part of Your Story's Digital Playbook for SMBs, a new series where we come together with key stakeholders in the SMB ecosystem to discuss the crucial areas of digitization. Once again, a big thank you to all the panelists for joining us. Thanks, Nupur, Anand, and Mandar.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks
much,
a lot.
Rishabh. Really appreciate it.